I do think that it is very nice that we've got an NBA Finals that has been very competitive. We are fans of a pair of teams in the East that were not able to make it this far, victimized by the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. Too bad we couldn't get a 76ers versus Bucks rematch in that finals. That would have been very, very nice. But we currently have the Heat and the Denver Nuggets all knotted up 1-1. And what did you make out of the first two games of the series? Because I felt like game number one was exactly the script. It was a game where the final differential was 11, but it was more convincing than that. The Denver Nuggets had full control of that. The Miami Heat were coming off of short rest, and I thought we would see a better effort from game two from the Heat. I was surprised that they were able to pull it off outright, and now the question becomes, how did the Nuggets respond?
Yeah, again, I'm with you there. I thought the game one for the Heat was kind of a scheduled loss, but I was on the Heat on the money line there. I thought it was a good spot for them. Like, this team just continues to exceed expectations, and we even gave it out on the Sports Gambling Podcast to take Joker over 40 points and parlay it with the Miami Heat money line. The idea of being, hey, we're gonna let Joker do what he wants scoring and force the other role players to beat us. Now, to their credit, the Nuggets did have open looks, and again, they only lost the game by 3. So I don't know if they should make crazy adjustments going forward. But again, like, I'm tired of being shocked at this Miami Heat team, right? I had them in the Bucks series. I'm sorry, hoops. I just think they've been a scrappy team. I thought they would have their hands full against the Nuggets. I originally had it going Heat in 7. And again, for game 3 and game 4, I think it's also going to be 1-1. My prediction is it goes back to Denver tied 2-2. But this is shaping up to be a good series. And again, the Heat just keep winning as dogs. They keep covering as dogs, and they keep shooting the 3-ball at a really high clip.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that you mentioned the 3-ball, because something that I'm thinking is going to happen the rest of the series, because I felt like they really found their blueprint for being able to mitigate the size of the Nuggets. I mean, it's very clear. You just watch with your eyes and you're able to see that the Nuggets are the bigger team in this series, but I felt like the Heat really mitigated that by taking 35 threes in game number 2, and I think the way that this is going to go is that the Heat are going to be taking those threes, and that leads to a lot of volatility where if the Miami Heat are able to win, they're able to win outright, and they're able to cover all those numbers like we saw it in game number 2. Big giant underdogs open up as 9-point underdogs. They close more around 7.5 to 8. And I do think that we could see that happen once again when the series does go back to Denver, where if the Miami Heat are able to cover, they just win outright. Meanwhile, if they lose by a good amount of points because they're just completely off with their 3-ball.
Yeah, totally agree. And you mentioned that 3-ball. I think we've seen a slight role change here. I do think Jimmy Butler may be dealing with like a minor knee injury, something that spooked his confidence when it comes to scoring. So if you're looking at player props, I do kind of like taking the under on Jimmy Butler points, but looking to play his over when it comes to his assists. His assists are sitting at like 6.5, and he's kind of embraced this new role where he drives to the bucket, he goes underneath the hoop, and then he kicks it out to the guys on the outside, getting them really nice shots. So I think looking to play some Jimmy Butler assists are pretty fun. Yeah, I see the screen up has it at like 6.5. I like that, and I don't know. He really hasn't done a ton scoring wise. It seems like the rest of these role players, Kevin Love coming in hitting shots, Max Strus hitting a bunch. So yeah, I think it's going to be another game for the role players as far as scoring. But Jimmy Butler's going to get his when it comes to the assists.
No question about it. As joining me on the Greg Peterson Experience, we've got Sean Green, who does great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And I'm so glad that you were talking about Jimmy Butler being a facilitator, because that's a big thing that we did see in game 2. And you mentioned it a little bit before, when Nikola Jokic is really doing a good job of being able to put the ball in the basket, when he's getting those demonstrative 35-plus point games. Typically, it's not necessarily the best for the Denver Nuggets. How much would you correlate this game with a lot of the role players like a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, maybe someone like a Bruce Brown, someone like that, those guys going over their player props in terms of the points, and that being correlated to a Denver Nuggets win / if they're going under, a Denver Nuggets loss? Because I do think that the Nuggets, they operate best when Jokic is getting sort of in that, like, his player prop right now is 28.5, just a little bit below that. Maybe he goes a hair over, but he's somewhere in that like 25 to 30-ish range, but he's getting those 10 assists. He's getting those 12 rebounds. I think that that's the best form of the Nuggets.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, clearly, I think if you like the Nuggets to win, you got to take Jokic over assists. And to your point, I think there's a world where they get the win and he doesn't hit his over point totals. To me, the game is kind of going to be decided, I think, with what the Heat can do to slow down Jamal Murray. I think they did a good job of slowing him down in game 2, and I think that was a big reason why they got the W. A guy like Michael Porter Jr., his confidence looked kind of rattled. And if Kevin Love can kind of continue to guard Aaron Gordon, I think the Nuggets could be in trouble there. But I think a guy like Bruce Brown, I think he might end up getting more minutes. So I think, and I like what he's brought to the table. I think his over 10.5, I like that. So I like some of these role players. And if you're looking for one guy to go off and correlate that to a Nuggets win, to me, it's Jamal Murray. Like, he's got to be the lead scorer, and I think Joker likes that. Like, I think he likes being the setup guy. He likes driving to the paint and kicking to the wide open guys. They just got to kind of hit their shots. They got a little complacent, I felt like, in the fourth quarter there. So I expect a nice game from them, like a good bounce back spot for the Nuggets here.
And now let's take a look at, typically we would call it Bigfoot, but we're going to call it Big Hand here because we're all talking about him, but nobody has seen him in quite a while. And I'm talking about Tyler Hero because the buzz has been, oh, Tyler Hero might be back for game 2. He didn't return. The buzz was, oh, Tyler Hero might be back for the finals. As of right now, he hasn't returned. And, well, for game 3, he's officially been ruled out. How much do you think that it's an advantage, perhaps, that the Miami Heat don't need to worry about acclimating Tyler Hero into the lineup for this game? Because with Tyler Hero, he's certainly more talented than a lot of these guys that they're throwing out there, like a Gabe Vincent, someone like Hightower who's been getting a bunch of minutes or everything like that. But I mean, with this Miami Heat run, it's been one of those things where the whole has been greater than the sum of its parts, and just being able to keep things moving, not having to worry about reacclimating Tyler Hero back in the fold, I honestly think is a good thing for them in this game.
Yeah, they have that segment Gone Fishing, and if you look at Tyler Hero, it seems like he's already got his fishing hat on with that that bucket hat that he wears in all the games. But yeah, I think it's weird. As a guy who bet on the Heat to win the series, I like the long shot price there. Part of me, it's weird. Do you want Tyler Hero? He's good at scoring points, but then again, they have a bit of a mojo going. And to your point, like, do you really want to, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think what keeps all these role players involved in, for Miami is that they know their number could be called. Like they were getting buckets from, Cody Zeller, Kyle Lowry, like they were getting buckets from guys that, obviously don't have a huge role in the league. Caleb Martin fell off. He's dealing with an illness. Maybe he comes back. I think the fact that any one of these guys could be the second, third scorer, I think keeps them engaged in the game. It keeps them battling out for those 50-50 balls. They don't check out at all. Like it keeps their effort high. And man, that's when that Heat team is tough to deal with. So you don't want to say you don't want Tyler Hero, because that sounds a little crazy. But I like this Heat lineup they got right now. So I don't want to mess with it.
And it's good to see that one out of the 37 Zeller brothers was finally able to make an impact in the finals. It was long coming in, but about time.
Get to nail the first name.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.